The dusty road leading out of the small town was usually quiet, except for the occasional truck passing by or the wind carrying the smell of hay from nearby farms. But that Friday afternoon, tension hung in the air like a storm cloud. High school let out early, and a group of local boys, known troublemakers, were leaning against their trucks, waiting for someone they thought would be easy prey. That someone was Emma Reed, a quiet farm girl who rarely spoke up in class. She was gentle, hardworking, and often the target of whispers because she dressed simply and spent more time tending animals than hanging out at the diner like the rest. But today, as she walked down the road with her backpack slung over one shoulder, the boys had no idea they weren't looking at Emma. They were looking at her identical twin, Ella. Ella Reed had been gone for years. The town thought she'd simply moved away for school or work. In truth, she had been serving her country in the most elite and secretive unit the military had, Delta Force. She'd endured grueling training, covert missions, and firefights across the globe. Now she was back in town for a short visit, keeping a low profile, staying with her family. When she offered to walk into town in place of Emma that afternoon, neither twin knew it would change everything. "Hey, farm girl," one of the bullies called, stepping out onto the road. His buddies laughed, blocking her path. "Where's your little boyfriend today? Chickens need feeding, huh?" Ella stopped in her tracks, her sharp eyes scanning the group. There were 5 of them, each bigger than the next, puffed up with false bravado. They thought she was Emma. They thought they could scare her, maybe shove her around a bit to feel powerful. She gave them a slow smile, one that didn't quite reach her eyes. "You really don't want to do this." Her calm tone only fueled their laughter. The tallest one, a broad-shouldered boy named Jace, stepped forward. He had a cruel reputation, known for picking on smaller kids when no one was watching. He smirked and poked her shoulder. "Or what? You gonna cry?" The others chuckled, forming a loose circle. They wanted a show. Ella shifted her backpack, her stance relaxed but calculated. Years of combat training told her exactly how this would go if they pushed. She gave them one last warning. "Walk away. Now." But Jace wasn't listening. He shoved her this time, harder. "What's the matter? Too much work milking cows?" "Don't worry, sweetheart, we'll toughen you up." The world seemed to pause for a moment. Ella's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes flickered, a switch flipping. She set her bag gently on the ground. What happened next was so fast the boys barely understood it. Jace reached for her arm, but before he could blink, she twisted his wrist, sending him sprawling onto the dirt with a sharp cry. Another lunged at her, swinging wide. Ella sidestepped, grabbed his shirt, and used his own momentum to flip him onto his back. The third hesitated, then rushed in, only to find himself face first against the side of his own truck, his arm pinned in a lock that made him howl. The last 2 backed up, eyes wide. This wasn't Emma. This wasn't some timid farm girl. What the hell? One of them stammered. Ella released the boy against the truck, letting him stumble away, clutching his arm. She dusted off her hands as though nothing had happened. "You boys need a new hobby. Because if I ever hear you laid a hand on my sister, or anyone else in this town, I won't be so gentle next time." Jace, still groaning in the dirt, glared up at her. "Why, you're crazy." Ella crouched down, her voice low and deadly calm. "No, I'm disciplined. And you just picked the wrong twin." The group scrambled, muttering curses and hauling Jace to his feet before piling into their trucks and peeling away in a cloud of dust. Ella stood, retrieved her backpack, and slung it over her shoulder again. To anyone watching from afar, it would have looked like nothing happened at all. But word in a small town travels fast. By the time she reached home, Emma was already waiting on the porch, arms crossed, her expression a mix of worry and curiosity. "What did you do?" Emma asked. Ella raised a brow. "Why do you assume I did something?" "Because half the boys from school just sped past here looking like they'd seen a ghost." Ella chuckled, setting her bag down. "Let's just say they won't bother you anymore." Emma's eyes softened, though she shook her head. "I wish I could be more like you." Her twin placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "You don't need to be like me. You're stronger than you think, Emma. But some people, they only learn respect when someone shows them the hard way." Over the next few days, the story spread like wildfire. The quiet farm girl, who'd humiliated the local bullies, became the talk of the town. None of the boys dared admit what really happened, only that they'd misunderstood Emma and decided to back off. But their silence spoke volumes. Ella stayed just a few more weeks, helping on the farm, keeping an eye on her sister. Yet in every interaction, in the diner, the feed store, the town square, people looked twice at Emma, noticing a new respect in their gaze. No one could quite figure out what had changed. When Ella finally left for her next assignment, she hugged Emma tight. "You'll be fine now. They won't forget." Emma watched her twin disappear down the road, pride swelling in her chest. She might not be a Delta Force legend, but she carried the same blood, the same fire. And thanks to Ella, the town finally knew, the Reed girls were not to be underestimated. From that day on, no one dared call Emma Reed, just a farm girl.